Can you click for me for the moment? Hey, so I had the idea that I want to talk about a few. There's so many different things to talk about in this class, and you know it's important that you know, or it's not. It doesn't really matter. But you know, every semester is different. Some semesters we focus more on one thing, and other semesters something else, and it just kind of really depends on who's rolling into town and what's happening in the news and just kind of how it works, right? It's just kind of the nature of things. So, but I had this idea that I want to just talk a little bit about religion, and then go ahead, next slide. I saw this article, and I said, you know what, I want to talk about this issue, because I think it has some value either toward the very beginning of class or at the end of class. And so this woman here was hiking in, I think the Pyrenees, and it was raining, but it suddenly turned to snow, and it got really cold, and they got lost because it was a blizzard, and so they took shelter. But at some point, the temperature was going down, her temperature was going down, and things got really precarious. That's her husband next to her. And her heart stopped. And she went into cardiac arrest, meaning that her heart was no longer pumping blood into her system. And, when your heart doesn't pump blood into your system, that can't last for very long. And, or obviously you have, even if they bring you back to life, you have irreversible brain damage. But in her particular case, her heart had stopped pumping for 6 hours. So she was dead for 6 hours. But what happened was her body temperature dropped so low, it dropped 30 degrees, that it actually, in effect, kind of kept her on ice. And so it reminded me of a book that I read a few years ago, and there was something in that book that really jumped out for me. And the book is called Erasing Death, and it is about people who are the people in the medical world who are spending a lot of time bringing people back to life. And so, you can do research and on anything, and you can do, kind of fine-tune medical procedures about anything. But one area that is really fairly underdeveloped is bringing people back to life once their heart has stopped pumping and their brain is no longer getting oxygen and so on, right? And what happens, and how can you, if somebody's in a really precarious state, how can we sort of put them in some level of suspended animation, for example, to do some really difficult medical procedures or whatever it is, right? And so they've gotten actually really good at this because, we just have never focused on this, right? I mean, medicine has never really just taken this on. And, but suddenly, it has in the past couple of decades. So this person was writing this book. And in the process of writing the book, what has happened is they have come across many, many people who have died and have either, we call them near-death experiences, but what he called, they're starting to call them after-death experiences. See that? And so they start really looking at this because they're asking people, so you died, what happened? Now, we've always had anecdotal data on this because, how many know someone who has died and came back to life and has a story to tell about it? Anyone know anyone with a story about what happened? Okay, so we have a lot of anecdotal data, right? And people write about it or they talk about it or whatever. But what's going on now is the scientific community and the work that they're doing, they're getting lots of data because lots of people are dying and lots of people are coming back with stories. And they're starting to share the stories. And what happens when you cross over? And And so they start to look at it in lots of different ways, right? You want to control for how long somebody was dead. You want to control for, how long their heart stopped beating. You want to control for how long, what happened that led them to be in that position. You want to control for the state of their body after their heart stopped beating. You want to control for their body temperature. There are lots and lots of things you want to kind of look at because you really study this, right? What happens when you die? This is the great question. Am I right? Is this not the great question? What happens when you die? How many of us have not thought about that question? I think about it, pretty much all day long. So, this guy in this book, he writes about the discoveries that they're making, and by really being a little bit more scientifically minded about this process, and which is pretty cool, right? Don't we sort of want to know? Don't you want to know? Don't you want to know? Where we come from. Hey, by the way, can I just say something really fast? I'll come back to this while we're talking about when we die. There's actually a lot of data. We don't have any data that support data, like science data, that support that we came from nowhere. But we actually do have data that support reincarnation. And let me walk you through it, because here I am holding Angelica, and so there are children who, when they first start talking, they start sensing their surroundings, and they start talking about how they're in the wrong surroundings. Like, where's my mother? Where's my dog? This isn't my house. When am I going home? Who are you? Right? Where's my brother? These kinds of things. And parents, of course. So imagine when she starts talking, just when in the very beginning stages of her talking, instead of, her mother, Dana Jane, instead of saying, hey, calling her mom, she calls her Dana Jane, and then says to Dana Jane, to DJ, where's my mother? Right? And so what people are discovering, in this culture, for the most part, when that happens, we just think the child is playing, and so we shush them and tell them to be quiet, and we move on, right? However, in other cultures that believe in reincarnation, here, you can hold on to that. You hold that right there. Yeah. Raj, she loves my kata. That's what she holds on to. So anyway, but cultures that believe in reincarnation, what people have started to do is start to isolate the children really fast. This is very cool, by the way. Yeah, exactly. So they isolate the children. Exactly. So they isolate the children as quickly as they can so that they don't have any other input. Yeah, exactly. You say what you need to say. She might be saying this right now as I'm talking, right? So they isolate the kids. You can talk all you want. It doesn't matter. They isolate the kids away from the parents, away from their surroundings, and start asking them questions in a really thoughtful, more scientifically grounded way. Okay, tell us about your mother. Tell us about your father, right? And these could be 2.5-year-old children, 2-year-old children, 2.5-year-old children. Tell them, what do you mean your dog? What color was your house? My house was it was purple, and this and that. And then, they start collecting data on the children, right? Tell us all about your past life. And so what they've been able to do, what they've been able to do, there are very much documented instances of researchers being able to find that child's former life. Meaning, when let's say she's 2.5 years old and she starts talking about her former life. So instead of DJ saying, hey, you're crazy, what are you talking about? Ha ha ha, this is really funny. Actually take it seriously and really document what she's saying, and then try to go investigate and find out who she was in her past life. And there are So this is science, right? We're not talking just like knuckleheads who just have this really cool idea. We're talking about people who are scientists, and we're saying, I really want to figure this out. I don't want to believe it. It's not about convincing the rest of the world. It's just about figuring it out. And so they go out and they find these documented instances of kids' past lives, meaning that there's no question about the fact that these children were reincarnated because they couldn't make it up. You got it? They found the child where they lived. Like they said, maybe every day we live next to a purple house. There's one instance, one case where I was reading where it's a candy store, and next to the candy store it was purple, and my parents were this, that, and the other thing, and they literally find the being that this Buddha being was. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. Is that awesome? Dude, listen, man. Did I hang on a sec. Mind blown. You got it? Like what I just told you is there is documented evidence of reincarnation. That doesn't rule out Christianity or Islam, or it doesn't rule out anything. It's just saying that there is documented evidence of that, which is exactly, I know. So anyway, so let's do this. So I want to tell you some of the things that these folks discovered. Okay, next slide, man. I need a few. I need someone from India and someone from Pakistan. Pakistan, right? I need someone from India. Who's from India? And I need anybody. Bro, you from India? Here, just come down. Somebody who's Muslim. You're Muslim, right? Okay, cool. I need someone who's Jewish. Who's Jewish? Who wants to just come down? Who's Jewish? Who wants to come down? Dude, are you Jewish? You want to come down? Yeah, just come down. You're just here. And I need someone who's Christian. Who wants to do the Christian one? Are you Christian? Wait, are there any pagans in the room? Any pagans? Atheists? Any atheists in the room? Oh yeah, you're an atheist, right? All right, we'll take you. All right. Okay, hang on. You're a Christian, right? All right, we'll take you. Come on. Yeah. But we have Muslim, we have Jewish, are you Hindu?
Yeah.
Hindu, atheist. Hey, Raj, why don't you come down too, man? Yeah. And we have Sikh. All right. Anyone who's just, this is good enough. We'll just do 6 of you. All right, let me walk you through it. What for me was really just, I know. All right, man. So, wait, let's just go. Can we just go down the line really fast? Yeah, just say your name so we have.
I'm Adina.
Adina.
Yeah.
Your family's from Pakistan?
Yeah.
And you are Muslim?
Yeah.
All right, bro.
Sam.
Sam?
Yeah.
Sam? Yeah. Do you say Shmuel?
Sure.
Yeah.
If
All
I
right.
want to.
What is it, Samuel? Yeah. How do you say it in Hebrew? Isn't it Shmuel?
Shmuel.
Shmuel? All right.
My name is Abhi. I'm from India.
From India? You're Hindu?
Yeah.
Madeline, wait, is it turned on? Push it up. You're an atheist? Atheist, man. All right. You can push it. Yeah, it's on.
I'm Jenny and I'm a Christian.
I'm Raj and I'm Sikh.
All right, man. So you ready? So here you have all these people with different belief systems, right? 6 different belief systems. And so we want to know where are y'all headed? Right? This is the question. Where are you headed, right? You all have your beliefs about where you're headed or where you're not headed. And you're just going to an eternal abyss of something or other. You know what? You're going to go to Philadelphia Phillies game where they lose. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, listen, man. So here's what this guy discovers. They start talking to all these people who die and they come back. And they start asking them what their experiences are. And they say, look, First thing, really amazing experience. So they die, right? A lot of light. So tons of light. Like, whoa, like so much light. Really cool. And awesome experience. It's really warm, feels really good. They feel really loved. They just feel like they don't want to leave. That's the main thing. Like they don't want to leave it. Okay? They feel, they start meeting friends and family who have died before them. Almost everybody reports. First off, most people don't have an after-death experience. Right? Most people they come back after being dead, and that's enough for them, right? But people, you are killing it. Yeah. But for those who do, most report seeing family and friends who are beckoning them, right? And calling them forward, and maybe they don't even really want to come, but they're calling them forward. Or the family and friends are saying, hey, it's not your time. I know you want to be here, but it's not for you. You shouldn't you got to go back. And they don't want to go back. Nobody wants to go back. Everybody wants to stay no matter what, okay? So this is what these scientists are reporting that people are saying. And we're not talking about 2 or 3 cases. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of cases, okay? Another thing that they define, that they see, is a being. There's some kind of being there. It's not in a human body form like Raj right here. It's not a being like we conceptualize a being, but it's some kind of nebulous life form, life force that has some kind of, at the very least, some kind of a weak embodiment, but it is pure love. Pure love. And they want to be around that being, the pure love. Right? They just want to be around it. Because it's like being around a baby, right? Like how many of you right now just want to hold her because she's just pure love? But you can't because I'm holding her. So, the other thing, this is really awesome, that people report being sort of asked by, not fully asked, but like enticed into some kind of moral assessment of their lives. Like it's really fast. And the compassionate being is like holding them, just in the way that I'm holding her. This is in a really loving way. There's no words exchanged, but it is take a review of your life and do an assessment of what you've done and how you've treated every human being in your life. And how that was. And all the negative things that they did to people, they're okay. They forgive themselves. It doesn't matter. And all the positive things that they did to people, that's fine too. It's just perfect. So this compassionate being is holding the space for all of these people who have died to do this just lovely assessment of who they are. Okay? Now, here's the key, and here's why it's important for a Social 19 class. Well, first off, here's why it's important for a Social 19 class. Because it doesn't matter what people's belief systems are. It doesn't matter what continent their ancestors are from. It doesn't matter if they're gay or straight. It doesn't matter what culture they follow. It doesn't even matter if they're good or bad people. Everybody has the exact same experience. Everybody. And I think about a class like this, and I think about the kinds of things that we're teaching. You know, for one, we all started just as baby Angelica. Just perfection. And we all started with all of the potential and all of the love and all of the possibility that is embodied in her. And then at some point, we get socialized. And sometimes we get socialized in negativity, and sometimes in love. And sometimes it's both. And we make choices, and other people make choices for us. But as we move through life, we're all going to one place. I mean, we're going to die. And according to this research, our experiences when we die are very, very, very similar, are essentially the same. And so when we're looking at people, as I'm looking across this row of people, and I'm looking at her, and I'm looking in the mirror at myself, and I'm looking out into the room at all of us. Yes, exactly. I think there's really nothing else that we need to teach in a class like this, but that we're all going to the same spot. You ready? Oh, she sees Mommy. Ooh.
Have a good class.
I shall. Thanks. Hey, are you still? Because I
Yeah.
okay. Hey, wait, hang on one second. Wait, hang on. All right. Man. Hey, the carriage, everything's in the back, DJ. Right. And top, okay. All right, okay, cool. Hey, can I say something? So I was actually an uncle before I was born. I have a nephew who's 2 years older than me. So my sister had a child, and 2 years later my mom had me. So I've been around kids my whole life. Angelica is the first, and I've been a kind of a godfather or a soul guardian to lots of kids over the years, including children of students and that sort of thing. But Angelica is the first baby who I absolutely love unconditionally. I feel like she's my child. And it's so awesome, man. To have that feeling. I'm 59 years old, and I finally got to have that feeling. I thought I may go my whole life and never have it, but I got to have it. So, it's just the grace, the goodness. Okay, so listen. Here's the thing. So the two of you, so you come, can you come over here next to her? Yeah, you stay right there. So Pakistan and India, battling it out, right now, over Kashmir and who knows, Muslims and Jews, right? Christians and here, you come down here. And, dude, you're off on your own for a hot second. Christians and Jews, Christians and Muslims, atheists and everybody else. And the data are saying everyone, here, you can come in here too, though, that all of us, myself included, we're going to have the same experience when we die. Now, mind you, I know that some of you who are really into psychedelics, like ketamine and so on and so forth, are saying, yeah, but this is what happens to everybody because we mirror these experiences when we take these drugs. Dude, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing because when you do the drugs or when you die, when you die, your body produces these kinds of chemical reactions in your body or in your mind, in your soul. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. And so, the two of you, like your countries are battling it out, about over lots of things, but including Kashmir and so on. But you're all going to the same place. I don't know, dude, what does that mean for you when you think about the conflict with Pakistan?
I don't know. I've always had Muslim friends, and I've had a lot of friends from Pakistan as well, even in my high school and in college right now. And even if I talk to a Pakistani, if I meet them in India or anywhere outside, it does not feel like, we have problems. It just feels like the problems have been created by the governments and because of how the independence of India and how Pakistan as a country came to be and how the politicians took decisions then, which has led to everything that's going on right now.
Exactly, for their own greed. And what happens is, we're connected. The two of you are connected. Even the soul connection after you die, right? If that being, because Hindus experience that being, that life force, or Hindus in the same way as Muslims. And Muslims is the same way as Jews. It doesn't matter. as Christians, right? So we have our belief systems here on earth that say like, yeah, but we're going to go to different things. They're going to be different for us. But the issue is all I know are the data that people are showing me, and people are coming back from all these different perspectives and saying, yeah, I'm alike. And what happens is when people die and they have this experience, they move toward the center. They move toward this ecumenical sort of embrace of all perspectives and all religions and all, because they see their religion, or they might hold their religion. Like you might maintain your Christian belief system, but you maintain your Christian belief system as a path to the divine. Not as, you would. I mean, this is what happens. Like, not as the path. This is the only path I can go down. It's like, no. I use my belief system that I develop out of Christianity as a way to get toward that divine spirit. Not as something to beat people up over. Right? And same with Muslims or, the atheists. Dude. What do you think about that, bro? But Jews don't really have like, what do you believe about the afterlife? What do Jewish people believe about the afterlife, by the way?
We have one. We're believing hell, but it's not like you go to hell, you get tortured or whatever. You go to hell at least almost a year to like get purified and then go to heaven.
Go to heaven. Who doesn't ever make it to the heavens?
No, like everyone goes to heaven.
You eventually get there. It's a matter of how long you got to wait to get there, right?
Yeah.
It's like you might have to wait a couple years. You might have to wait 1,000 years, but eventually you'll get there. Hey, by the way, what do you think about this guy right here and these? Are you really Muslim, or are you like?
I mean, I'm religious. Like I fast and stuff, but I'm not like. I'm moderately religious.
So what do you think about the fact that when you get to where you're going, this guy could be there ahead of you? Be like, yeah, man, what's up, man? The Hindu guy from Slush 119.
I mean, I don't really feel any way about it. I mean, I do believe that, in the end, we're all people. And, I mean, it's not going to matter. I mean, for me, it's like we're all going to die anyway. So it's not going to matter what nationality you are or what religion you follow. Technically, we do end up, whatever name we give it, we do end up in the same place, more or less.
Well, hang on, though. But not everybody believes that, you see, because lots of Muslims are killing a lot of people in many parts of the world because they don't believe that. Like, you have a certain open-mindedness, but there are a lot of people, and a lot of Hindus killing lots of people because they don't believe that. And somehow they believe that, well, what I should do, I guess, is just go kill them, and somehow maybe that'll put my doubts to rest or something. So you have that belief, but that is a unique belief to you. And then if that's the belief, then spread that around the world, because, I mean, it's my belief as well, but, yeah. How about you? Like, what do you, as a Christian, what do you think about? Like the data are saying, what's your name?
Madeline.
Madeline the atheist. You and Madeline the atheist, according to these experiences of atheists who have died, it would say, yeah, I had the same experience as the Christians. So, like, yeah. How is that?
It's really complex, but I mean, I don't even know how to word it, but like God has a plan for everybody. I mean, that's what Christians believe. We believe in heaven and hell, and so to think that
that when she dies, the God, that life force that you believe in, is going to envelop her with this beautiful karmic energy, in the same way that the God will envelop you in the beautiful karmic energy.
Yeah.
It's like
God loves
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy, right? Not all Christians believe that, though. Because there are Christians that would just be like, no, Madeline, you're doomed to life and eternal suffering, which I don't even know what that would be outside of going to a Phillies game forever. Yeah.
But it's just like, we don't know until we're gone,
Exactly. So it's a faith thing.
It is. It's like, it's something I'm willing to bet my life on,
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather believe in spending forever in this beautiful place than like thinking that nothing happens to us.
Yeah. All right. Okay, that's cool. Cool. Awesome. And you, what do you think? What's going to happen to you when you die? Besides what I just said. Push it forward. Here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be dead. I don't know.
Do you think about it?
Yeah, I just think I'll be dead. Like,
Oh, come on, man.
like,
See, a lot of times atheists, they cop out on this. This is a big question.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just don't really think about what might happen when I'm dead. Like, I like to live in the moment and just, like, not really worry about, like, what I'm doing in my life that would affect where I'm going later.
Yeah.
And just, like, live it. Just know that I'm gonna die.
All right. That's fair. You'll start thinking about it. As you get to be about my age, you think about it a lot. Yeah. But that's cool. I like that. All right, man. Dude, why don't you... Hey, thanks. Thanks. Thanks, Mo. Dude. Thanks. Yeah, you're done. You can sit down, except Raj. Thanks, Mo. Is that on? All right, so listen, man. So, Raj, so you are Sikh.
Yeah.
You don't say Sikh, you say Sikh.
Yeah, sick.
And tell me, so the class is anyone who's seen Raj, what's your full name?
Raj Beer. So like,
Yeah.
Raj Mir?
Raj Beer.
What's your last name?
Singh.
Singh.
Yeah.
So, where are you from, by the way?
I'm from Jersey.
From where in Jersey?
North Jersey, like Somerset County.
Is there a Sikh community there? Or?
Yeah, like where I live, it's near like Bridgewater. We have like a temple. It's called the Gurdwara. We have like one there off the highway.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
You live in Bridge? I know that temple. All right.
Oh yeah, I live like 10 minutes away from that.
All right. Okay. Cool. I was just in Bridgewater a couple weeks ago. Hey, so listen. So tell us about what's the Sikhism. Say something, because anybody who sees you is like, okay, what's the what's the wrap you're wearing on your head? What do we call it? What do you call it? What should people call it? What do they need to know?
Well, it's called like, I mean, people call it a turban, but like if like what I call it is a dastar, which is like the Punjabi word for it. I don't know, like what else?
And so when did you start wearing it?
Once your hair gets like long enough and you can like have like kind of like a bun, which is what I have, you start wearing it. So like when you basically like go to like kindergarten or like preschool.
So is that when you started?
Yeah, it's like you're supposed to wear it in like public. So like you're supposed to cover your hair in public.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And because
it's just like supposed to be a sacred thing. So like we're also supposed to not cut our hair because it's like God gave us our hair. That's like a thing. But like God gave us our hair, so we're not supposed to like disrespect His gift. So we don't cut it. And then basically in public and stuff, you like cover your hair just to be respectful of it, I guess, kind of.
Wait, so basically you're going to grow your hair your whole life.
Yeah.
And it's going to get really long.
No, it usually like stays like the same length. Like mine's been
Yeah.
like at my waist for like a while.
For a while. So do you know like some old dudes from the temple? Well, how about your dad? Does he cut his hair?
No, I mean his hair's not that long because it gets like shorter, like kind of bald.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what happened to me. All right, man. So okay, so it's in a bun in the front.
Yes.
So that's what that is in the front, is a bun.
Yeah.
And why do you cut? But you're okay. What? So you don't do anything to your body that would destroy the gift of God. So what about like your fingernails?
No, you can like cut your fingernails and stuff like that.
Because the end of the nail is dead, right? It's
Yeah.
like dead cells. So
I
you
guess.
cut that out. But you wouldn't cut the whole nail. You just cut the dead part.
Yeah, I guess.
So and your hair. But what about dead hair in your hair? Because you also have dead hair, right? Because it falls out and it's there, and like. But when you're combing, so
Yeah.
let me see if I get this right. But when you're combing your hair,
Yeah.
the presumption would be the dead hair would
dead hair
fall
comes
out,
out, yeah.
and that's okay. That's not a
Yeah.
problem. So did you make the decision to start wearing?
No,
covering
it's.
your hair?
I mean, like my parents kind of made the decision because like it was like you have to start wearing it like from an early age. So like, because when your hair gets long enough, you kind of have to cover it.
Yep.
So like, I guess my parents made the decision, but like
So you're going with it?
Yeah.
You going the distance, bro?
Yeah.
Cool, man. Do you wear a kata?
Yeah. I have it right here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You don't have it on your wrist?
I don't wear it all the time, but
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to
Can
put on.
Can you explain to the class what that? When did you start wearing, or when did you start carrying that? around?
I started wearing this in like middle school probably. It's basically just like so what it was when like it first originated was the Sikhs are basically like they were like the warrior class in India, or like they were all like warriors. So this was put on like your sword bearing arm as like protect yourself, and also like it's like a symbol of like your relationship to God and like your relationship to the community, like where this is just like a link in the chain of your community.
So it's like it's made of steel, of stainless steel.
Yeah.
Which is then like it's strong. It's like represents the strong unbinding connection to God.
Also, it's steel because like it's not supposed to be gold, because if it's gold, it ends up being like jewelry or
Yeah.
like an ornament or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do Sikhs believe about death?
We believe in reincarnation.
Uh huh.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So meaning that you die, and that somehow your body, your energy, from what I understand, is like your energy. It's like a drop of water that goes back to the ocean, and it goes back to like just the great creative spirit, and then it just will come back into the world, right?
Yeah.
Of perfection. So, do you the 5 thieves? Do you talk about the 5 like
The five Ks or like 5?
main 5 thieves, like like ego,
Oh, okay.
anger,
Uh-huh.
lust, greed,
Yeah.
and
So there's like, yeah, like we talk about that, and there's like things that you do like where you can like basically take those away. Like when you at like gurdwaras, which is like our temple, we have like a section of the gurdwara like for like feeding people. Like we have like a place where like everyone eats, which is like basically because we decided that we would take in anybody that like is in need or anything. They can come in to the gurdwara, they can like sleep, they can eat food. So like if you do like if you like help there and stuff, like if you help make the food, you help serve the poor or like whoever, the homeless who needs like that space for the night, then that's kind of like that kind of helps with like those like 5.
so every Sikh temple feeds
Yeah.
people who are hungry.
So there's it's called the Langar Hall, where they serve food, and then upstairs they have the Darbar Hall, which is like the actual where like you pray and stuff. Yeah.
So I remember 2 different times when I was in India, I went to the Sikh temples several times, and was just blown away by how many people were being fed, and just like the compassion, right? So I don't have. It's a monotheistic religion, meaning that, but God is like this life force energy. It's not like a being that thinks and wishes and talks and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like, for me, it feels like Sikhism is the closest, the philosophy of Sikhism is the closest to the philosophy that I would hold in my way of understanding life itself. And so that's why I put this kata on, because it just kind of represented that. And I felt like, I'm not going to grow my hair out, but it just felt like for me, really, it just makes sense that this, if you read about Sikh, like ideology and theology and philosophy and so on, it just feels, for me, it's closest to what the world, it just makes sense. That's all. That's all I can say. If I'm going to conceptualize a God in a religion that sounds really cool, it's going to be yours, which I guess is mine now. Do you do you trim your beard at all?
Yeah, I do trim my beard.
Dude, come on, man.
Well, it's like I would say I'm religious, but like there's like obviously in every religion there's like different levels of like how much like you believe in it. So like obviously I believe in it, but some people like they keep their hair and beard for their whole life. They have like it's called the 5 Ks, where there's like they have like the sword too, like if you've seen that.
Yeah.
So they do all of that, and like I don't like I've adopted the religion, but like I haven't like I'm not like all the way there. So,
Do you have the sword? Do you wear that?
No, I don't wear that.
So a lot of Sikh guys will wear this little tiny knife. It's a curved knife, right? What do you call it?
Kirpan.
Girban?
Kirpan.
Gaban?
It's like a P.
Gapan?
Kirpan.
Gibban. Keep going. And it'll be a plastic one, right? So like you can go through the like a TSA or something like that. And do you get stopped at TSA?
Me, yeah.
Yeah. Do people think you're Muslim?
Yeah. I was at a party on Saturday, and somebody came up to me, and they're like, "Are you Islam?" And I was like,
Are you Islam? It's like, I am Islam. The beholden of life itself.
Yeah.
Dude, exactly. That's what I'm saying. All right. Dude, cool, man. I just think it's good because, and do you like it when people ask you about, your wrap, your turban, and so on?
Yeah, I like it because, like, a lot of people don't know about it because it's, like, it's not really a small religion, but people confuse it with, like, Islam. So, like, a lot of people don't know, like, what it is. So
no, there's only, like, 25 million Sikhs in the world, right?
Yeah.
Because there really aren't very many.
It's like, I think it's like the 5th biggest religion.
Yeah, 5th largest organized religion. Yeah. Dude, thanks, man. Awesome. Yeah. What's up? Everybody's talkative today. She just wants to be held. What's up? Dude, no, she'll be too rowdy for me. All right, so listen, man. So I just want to go through a few things because since we're talking about religion, I want to just, I was communicating yesterday with a colleague of mine in Poland who so we've done some work with when we were doing our work with NATO, and she's works at the Polish Naval Academy, Military Academy, and so that's how we got to know each other. And so she right now is writing about the polarization in Poland, and in fact polarization in many countries in Europe, and how the extreme right is mobilizing around anti-immigration and mobilizing around foreigners and mobilizing in a way that is just really, really, really dangerous and troubling. And meaning that people having lots of marches, people attacking immigrants, people attacking, these are white people, attacking people who are not white, people who don't think like them, and really seeing many countries getting divided in a way that's very similar to how the United States has gotten divided, but also in more profound, but really even in more profound ways. And for somebody like myself who has this idea, and I might be wrong, this person is doing all the work on dying and death, could completely be wrong, but I have this idea, just like the 6 people up here and myself, we're probably, my thinking is we're likely all going to the same place. Because of that, it's actually really kind of scary when people have these ideas. And but the ideas are real, right? Because human beings are prone to protecting whatever it is around them. We're prone to protecting our homes. And so for me, I'm going to protect my home, right? I have a lock on the door, and if somebody tries to break in, I'm going to try to stop them, that sort of thing. But other people see their nation as their home, with the borders and so on, right? So for them, they're protecting the home in a different way from maybe other people from other nations who are coming in. And the key thing about white nationalism, when you hear about white nationalism, what's really important, I just want to walk you through a few things because I think it matters, because this is not going to go away. And in fact, wait, hang on. Wait. So the conflict, the race conflict that we're seeing is probably going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better. And it's probably a good idea that we understand the nature of this and why it might actually be really, really disturbing. Because, like Bill, who was here last week, he and I were talking while he was here, and when things fall apart, it can get really, really ugly. And we really don't want it to fall apart. So let me walk you through some of the things that I see that actually we probably might want to put our attention on in this penultimate class of the semester. So the idea of white nationalists is that the fundamental enemy are Jewish people. Jews are the enemy. Black people, Hispanic people, Asians, indigenous peoples, they don't really matter that much. So white nationalists are concerned about Jews. And the reason they're not concerned about anybody else besides Jews is because all of those other groups are the lower races. They're so inferior in this belief system. They are so inferior that they don't have the power to take down the white, quote, race. But Jews do. And Jews are really, really dangerous according to their belief system. And there are lots of ways in which Jews want to take down white people because Jews are not white. In spite of the fact that, wait, who's the Jewish guy that was up here? Dude, in spite of the fact that you look really white, from the white nationalist perspective, you're not white. And so Jews have this plan. And the plan to undermine white people and take over, because it's a global conspiracy on the part of Jewish people, according to this perspective. And the plan is to infiltrate white society with lesser, inferior beings who are from the continent of Asia and Africa and the Americas. And so once we can dilute the bloodlines, and once we can dilute the culture, once Jewish people can do that, then they can take over the final takeover of society and take over all white people and push white people, the good white people, whatever, to the side. Okay? That's the thinking of white nationalists. So, which is why, for example, let me show you a couple things. This was a poster from the Charlottesville rally from a couple of years ago, when white nationalist groups were all coming together and they were uniting in Charlottesville on August 12th, right? And look, he's got the sledgehammer and he's going to crash the Star of David, the primary symbol of Judaism. There's nothing on there about white people. It's to end Jewish influence in America, the Daily Stormer. So black people will often have this idea, hey, these white nationalists, this is the KKK and they hate, black people. Listen, yeah, they don't like you, but you're irrelevant to them. You're like nothing to them. This is the enemy right here. This is the enemy. And so then we look at these rallies. Okay, we have a Confederate flag because part of Charlottesville is retaking the Old South. And, these groups sort of all come together. Right? There are lots of people who maybe are part of the old Klan and now they're in the new Klan and they kind of put it together, so they're going to bring their Confederate flag. But most of the symbols are going to be symbols of hatred toward Jews, including the Nazi swastika. Right? Look at. Okay? So here's another one. So again, we have the Confederate flag. There are a couple of Confederate flags, but really it's Jewish people are the enemy. This is white nationalist ideology. Okay. And this is a movement. It's still small in the United States, relatively speaking. But at the same time, We don't necessarily know how small it is, and at the same time, it can grow really fast. And what we're seeing in parts of Europe is how quickly this movement has blossomed and taken off, because it breeds on discontent. All movements like this breed on discontent. It gets their power from discontent. And I just saw some data that just came out, not only for the United States, but for the world, about the exacerbation of income inequality and how over the past 30 years, the rich are, remember we talked about this in class, how the profits that are being derived from all of the new revenue that is being generated, and how the vast majority of those profits are going into the pockets of the uber rich, not to the pockets of the bottom 40%. So now imagine that you're white and you're working class, and you've been watching sort of manufacturing jobs go elsewhere, and you're watching Korea rise and China rise, and you're watching various cities and peoples in Africa get more prosperous, and you're watching the black and brown community in the United States get more prosperous. But your community, you're watching it shrink, and you're watching yourself get poorer and poorer and poorer. And there's really probably not a chance in hell that you're going to score that really sweet job that your grandfather had, or maybe even that your father had, that allowed them to buy the house that they have, because you're probably not going to get it. And maybe you're going to do gig work at who knows where, for UPS or for Uber or whatever, and you're going to make your $25,000 a year, and that's really cool when you're 21. But when you're 29 or 30 and you want to get married and you want to buy a house and you're still making $25,000 a year, and there's not a chance in hell that you're going to go anywhere, and you're white, and you've watched white people, what appears to be white people, just getting passed over and passed over and passed over, because you're looking around at all of this multicultural kind of world that we've created, and there's more black people on television and brown people on television, and you're seeing just this prosperity, what looks like prosperity, because you're not seeing the poor people in these communities, you're seeing the wealthy ones, and you're looking around your community and you're just seeing poverty after poverty, and you're seeing this community just really be decimated. And so what are you going to do? You're going to turn your anger and you're going to turn it outward, and then you're going to look for a simple solution. And one solution is, look, the problem is that we've given too much power to black people and brown people. And so look, white people, they're going to come at you, and they're taking over, and you're being lost, and your leaders are selling you out. And the only way for you to ever get that prosperity again is to follow us. It's really, really simple. And so these movements, they rise and they grow on the basis of this white discontent, which is completely understandable. All you got to do is take some drive. For those of you, if you live in Philly, like regardless of if you live like in the suburbs of Philly, or in the suburbs of DC or in New York City, don't drive home on 78 and 81 and 80. Take one of these back roads. Drive home. Give yourself 8 hours to get back to Philly, and drive right down through rural Pennsylvania, and take these 2-lane roads and go through some of these towns and look at the town that was a prosperous, thriving white community now be decimated into nothing, with houses falling apart, and the jobs have gone, and maybe 30 miles away there's this kind of a Amazon warehouse. And they just opened 25 jobs where people are making $12 an hour. And that's really about it. And drive through some of these communities and see, like, man, what story are you going to tell yourself about how that community got there? And then you turn on the TV and there's all these black and brown people and white people and so on, but like, who are doing really well, really well, and your life is shit. And someone comes along with a really sweet explanation. And the explanation comes with a swastika. And you don't even really know what that means, because you didn't study it in school, and you have some idea of Jews and the Holocaust and God knows what. But it's just really not part of your life. And so then suddenly this very simple explanation is one that really jumps out for you. And it makes sense, and here you are. And now we see this rise in this white nationalism. And we're seeing it in Europe. And I'm talking to my friend in Poland, and it's happening in Poland. In fact, they just elected a right-wing government, and people are uniting around these ideologies, and it's really quite troubling. because we're going to continue to see income inequality and this exacerbation. And then it's all going to start to be a problem as it grows. It doesn't matter that most all of this income is going into the hands of, wealthy white people, but also some black and brown people. But so here, look at this. Here's a thing here, right? So look, these are white nationalist symbols, right? It's just one after another. And these are appealing, right? They're going to be appealing to you. If you have no idea what the world is, and all you've seen is the life of your family has been undermined, and it's falling apart, and you don't stand a chance at all of ever being anywhere near where your parents or your grandparents were, this kind of stuff's going to be appealing. And then, look, it's the same thing. The merchandise may vary from time to time, but the merchant's always the same. It's the Jewish guy. The same caricature of the Jewish guy. Hate crime laws, climate change, usury, globalism, porno, feminism. Oh, these are all cultural decay. These are all gender bending lies. These are all the lies that Jewish people from this white nationalist thing and the Jewish people have imposed upon the rest of it. They're just like bringing it in. And of course, because part of it is because Jews control Hollywood. Of course, that's part of the ideology. The Jews control Hollywood, and so they're we're just swimming in this. Listen, man. Robert Bowers is if you're from Pittsburgh, you probably know that name. He's the man that committed a little over a year ago that killed all of the people at the Jewish synagogue. And so you just read his words, right? And just how, really deeply disturbing it is. And, highest, so I think what it was that he went in, there was a meeting of HIAS, and HIAS is the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, and it was founded in the late 19th century to help Jewish people immigrate to the United States who were victims of the pogroms in Eastern Europe. And what they're doing is they're bringing invaders that kill our people. I mean, it's right here. I can't sit by and watch when people get slaughtered. And 1488 14 represents the 14 most important words for white nationalists. And the 14 most important words, here I'll read them. We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. And 88 is because HH is the eighth letter of the alphabet, and 88 is Heil Hitler. HH is Heil Hitler. And so this is this homage to Adolf Hitler. And so you'll see 1488 a lot by folks. This is the move. And so you see, the problem here is when we start talking about using words like invaders. It's really easy to take those words, invaders, like we start talking about, people coming up across the border in Mexico, and we start referring to that as an invasion of the United States. And that just becomes this sort of national lexicon discourse. We hear it on the news, and people say it, and our leaders say it, and then that just fits really nicely, perfectly overlaps with this story that's being told by these folks. It's an invasion. And so it doesn't take a lot to get people, here's a line, to say, hey, we have a real serious problem here. To step over the line and say, actually, now we have a serious problem and I'm going to do something about it, just like this guy. I'm going in. I'm going to take over. I'm going to make it happen. And we don't talk about it a lot. We don't talk about it. So a part of this, just anti-Semitic incidents are up tremendously, right? And people just, it's this piece. It's this piece about Jewish people. And, it really has stayed alive, fairly significant in Christian history, because the idea is that I can give it to you in the most basic of senses, and how this anti-Semitism really rose up inside of Christian ideology is that, and again, it's not all Christians, but it's enough. It's in the ideology that you have to see it in order to get rid of it. The idea, for those who don't know, is that Jesus, who's the key prophet in Christianity, although Christians will call Jesus God, but that's irrelevant. Jesus was killed by the Romans and put to death. And Jesus was put to death because apparently the idea is some way of mounting some kind of insurrection, right? So if you're Christian, you have text that leads you to fully believe that. For me, I'll just go with it because it makes a lot of sense. The best we know, even from the best, it's irrelevant, right? So the Romans killed Jesus. But it's somewhere along the line when the Bible gets written, because the Bible wasn't written right away. The first writings we have of the Bible are, 80 years after the death of Jesus, kind of thing. And then, we have lots of copies, and then, so it's just one of these things. But at some point in time, in the text of the Bibles, by the way, if you're Christian, you want to understand this. The Romans killed Jesus. But at some point in time, when the story gets told, it gets written down as Jews killed Jesus. Not the Romans killed Jesus. Jews killed Jesus. Then the story becomes, Caesar and Pontius Pilate is like, should we kill this guy? And the Jews are like, kill him. The Jews say, kill him. It's not about the Romans killing Jesus. It's the Jews. So now you're reading this text, and the text is like, whoa, Jewish people killed Jesus. They turned their back on the prophet, and they actually killed Jesus. And it's deicide because Jews actually killed God. That's deicide, Dios. Okay? So this gets filtered down through Christianity for 2,000 years. The anti-Christian, the anti-Jewish hatred is not new. It's old. It's 2,000 years old. And it culminates in this time of Nazi Germany. Because these are all Christians. The Nazis were all Christians. Now, if I'm a Christian, I'm going to say, well, you can't really be a Christian and be a Nazi, because that would just go against Christianity. You can't be a Christian and be committing genocide against the people, because that is just against the words of God, right? As Jenny said up here, it's like God is love and God is giving. Like that is not, they are not Christians. You couldn't tell them that. They're all Christians. They went to Christian church. They worshiped the same God that we're worshiping, that you're worshiping if you're a Christian, or if you're a Muslim, doesn't matter, or if you're Jewish, for that matter. It's all the same God. And they came together and committed the worst genocide that we've known in modern times. No question about it. 6 million Jewish people, another 5 to 6 million people. And we see just the killing was just, I often watch a short 4-minute video in here without sound, just so you have the experience of seeing what they did. In this case, what Christians did. Right? And again, they're not Christians in my mind. That's not what it is. This is an attack on Christians. But what it is, it's an understanding of people who read this text about and develop over time this hatred, deep, deep hatred of Jewish people who committed deicide. And it makes it easy to kill the people who killed your God. And it makes it easy to kill them after a decade of anti-immigrant rhetoric on the part of your leaders. Anti-immigrant rhetoric anywhere. Those people, the invaders, those evil people, they're coming for us. They're coming for our jobs. They're coming for whatever it is. It's all part of it. And so it's happening. And so then they come together and they do this. And they build these ovens. And when you go, so I was at Auschwitz, and when you go and you see the level of technology that they brought to bear, because you can't kill that many people, and you have to get rid of body. It just becomes, it has to be this institutional engineering marvel to make it happen. It's just so deep. It's so deep. And here's core teaching from the Catholic Church. This only ended in the Second Vatican Council, by the way, in the 60s. Core teaching. All Jews in Palestine around at the time of the death of Christ were responsible for the execution of Jesus, i.e. the killing of God. This is core teaching. It doesn't take much if you're Catholic to, here, hang on, let me just come back here. It doesn't take much if you're not really thinking about theology. And these are core teachings, and they're leaching down into your soul. And they leach down in, and maybe you're not even conscious of it, but they start to go in there, and you're like, whoa, what is this? And what is that? And one is, all Jews are responsible. All Jews who are currently living are also responsible for the death of Jesus. And that God rejected Jews because they murdered Jesus. The perfidious Jews was only taken out of the Good Friday service by the Catholic Church in the Second Vatican Council. And perfidious means deceitful. So imagine on Good Friday, the day that Jesus died, the day after Jesus died, the day he rose from the grave, or was discovered to have risen from the grave. Catholics are still saying at the Mass, referring to Jews as deceitful Jews. Dudes. This is religion. This is what religion can do to us if we're not careful. Right? And you might say, hey, I'm a Catholic, and they don't teach that at my Catholic church. Of course they don't. They don't now. They've taken it out. You might say, like, well, I go to church, and we don't talk bad about Jews. Like, okay, that's cool, but there are many other people that do. And you might say, well, this is like my church here. Like, we're really good people, and like, we're thoughtful and we're loving and we bring our babies like Angelica, and it's like we don't hate anybody. Okay, that's lovely, and I'm really happy for that. And you might say same thing, I'm Muslim and at my mosque, and with me it's like it's not like that. That's cool, but there are other Muslims that are doing that. And like these guys, there's this idea among, hang on, let me give you one final thing. No, I'm not. Dude, is Joe here? Dude, hang on. Dude, you're lucky, man. Hey, so here's the deal. I'm going to cut here, but hey, don't put your stuff on, because this is Joe. Joe works at World in Conversation, was a student in this class a long time ago. You can grab a mic, dude. But has an NGO in Haiti and is taking people to Haiti in June or July.
Yeah.
And if you go with this guy, because Joe and his team that has this NGO, you can have an experience in Haiti Plus, you'd stay at the House of Ernso. But you'd have an experience in Haiti that you really never would have. And for that price, dude, that's a really good price.
Yeah, so that price is everything. That's airfare, that's room and board at Ernso's, and that is the program fee for our company. And that program fee includes transportation, and it includes security, and it includes like a small donation to the people and children that you'll be seeing and working with. And also, do you still do the Haiti project?
No.
Okay. Well, like in the past, Sam did a Haiti project with these two girls, Melissa and Marina, and we usually meet them when we go down there. I've hung out with them every single time that I've gone down. So basically, we're just asking for around like 10 to 15 people, and it would be kind of like a cultural immersion trip. You'd get a chance to meet a lot of Haitian people. You'd get a chance to talk to them, see how they're living in a lot of different locales.
Rich people, poor people,
yeah,
middle class
a lot of
people.
different types of people.
Yep.
And you'd get a good chance to see a broad aspect of Haiti. You would be able to see some nightlife. You'd be able to see some of the communities we work in. You'd be able to see hospitals, children's homes, all different sorts of stuff. And I got the chance to do this when I was in Soch. I actually sat like right over there about 3 years ago, and I went down, and that's actually how the nonprofit started. And so we wanted to extend that opportunity to other people to get a chance to experience this, because it's really eye-opening, and you can learn a lot about the world.
So let me just say the following. This is one of those life-changing trips that you take, and you're like, damn, for $1,500, you never come back. You wouldn't come back.
It changed my entire life. It changed my entire
if you have
trajectory.
any interest at all, come
Just like sit over
see
here.
Joe, and if you think you might be interested, come see Joe, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Highly,
Thank you, guys.
highly, highly recommended to go.